All right, let's talk about our 2 and our 3. I think the 2 and the 3 often get misunderstood the most, and sometimes the boys don't like playing these positions. I actually think our strongest boys should be playing the 2 and 3. And when I've seen teams play with a strong 2 and 3 or strong center backs and a strong 5, they're really good. And that's because those are probably the 3 most important positions on the field. And I don't mean to make light of that. They just are if they're played right. So there's 3 responsibilities that the 2 and 3 are going to have. One is when we're building out of the back, they are going to be the main distributors of the ball, meaning the one passes out. And why we encourage the goalie to pass out to the 2 and 3 is it because it draws in the other team to help one cover the whole length of the field and also draws them into one side of the field where we can either pass the ball up to our wings, right, to go up the touch line, or it draws them in, allows them to do a pass back to the goalie or even directly to the 2 to switch the field and switch our angle, or even go directly to a 5 or a 7, right? If they've got a good kick, they can get it farther out the field. So that's primary goal 1 is 2 and 3 have to be able to distribute the ball well, pass the ball well. The next thing is we need the 2 and 3 to help control the center of the field. And when I talk about the center, I'm talking about that middle third. So oftentimes, if we can't control that middle third, we will always have a hard time getting the ball out of our back half and into the opponent's half. So what they have to do is if we advance the ball, if one of our teammates, will say the 7 gets the ball and advances, the 2 and the 3 have to be advancing with the ball. Because when they advance with the ball and they're good players, we can control this middle third, which means if another player wins it back from the 7 or comes through, we can challenge immediately while the other center back drops back. And we can either slow down the attacking possession or even win the ball back. Because a lot of times this ball, even when it be won by a player, it'll get kicked around. So maybe the 6 wins it and he'll just kick it for some reason. And the 2 and 3 have to be able to seize it and attack with it. The last thing the 2 and 3 can do is if they've advanced the ball, the third main responsibility, I should say, is that we can change the point of attack. Meaning if the 4 and 6 are going, the 4 is trying to drive in to shoot and Bell's out or he loses the ball or something happens, he can get the ball to the 2 and maybe their 5 comes out to the 2, but if he can switch it around and the 3 has an open angle, right, where they just aren't in the way, that I'm okay with the center backs coming up, taking a shot, or maybe distributing, finding a better pass if they're not offsides, and taking the shot. That's perfectly fine for the 2 and 3. The main thing on all 3 of these things is the 2 and 3, out of everyone else on the team, have to always be asking the question, what will happen if my team loses the ball? If the player who has the ball on our team loses it. So, for example, if the 3 finds an open attack and pushes, if the 6 comes over and steals it back and maybe makes a pass out, that 2 already has to be anticipating. The 3's driving, I'm the lone center back, I need to drop back, and if the 5 gets the ball, I can immediately pressure. And I would say immediately pressure for the 2 instead of dropping back all the way to our half is that we want to slow down the attack, slow down passing patterns on the other team. So that's the most important question, is what will happen if another teammate loses the ball, and where do I need to be in position to help slow down an attack or prevent an open shot on the goal. All right, so 3 things again. So 2 and 3 distribute out of our backfield, and they're going to be our biggest distributors. They help draw in the other team and then distribute the ball away. And then they will also advance. They're going to help us control the middle third. And then lastly, they're going to change our point of attack, where if we need to reset because we're running in, if we're doing more an established, attack on the goal, and it's not just sprinting for our lives trying to score, the 2 and 3 can help really control that center of the field, change the point of attack, and be aggressive with charging in or passing it out to another player. And then on a side note, the 2 and 3 typically in our last season were the ones throwing in the ball. I think that's kind of a shooter's standard. I actually don't like the 2 and the 3 passing the ball in, throwing the ball in when it goes out of bounds. I'd actually like to get that back to the 4 and 6. And why I say that is because if the 4 passes in, then, and we're going to the left side, I just love the left side for some reason, the 2 can come back and again be a back end for the 4 to pass to, and we can switch the field. Again, switch the point of attack, switch how we attack the ball. So like if a 4 was throwing in at the center field, we might see the 2 in the backside, 5 coming over center, with the 6 coming across and then maybe our 7 being down the line. And depending on how they're guarding it, right, the 4 might run it down the touch line, or he might try and pass it into the 7 to try and get a pass back from the 7. That's a little bit more complicated. But really the 2 and 3 are here utilized on the throw-ins, so he can pass it back to the 2, who then, instead of trying to take the ball up, again, switches the point of attack over to the 3, and we can get it open hopefully to the 6, right, if the ball's moving fast enough.